Zara told her friends I was broke. She laughed about it over champagne while wearing the dress I bought her. I saw the video 2 hours after my last investor pulled out. It was a girls' night filmed by her best friend, never meant for me. But the internet doesn't hide much when you've still got a few loyal eyes watching the world for you. Her voice echoed through my phone speakers like a slap. He had it coming. Finn always thought he was untouchable. Now he's just another washed-up failure with a fancy last name. What she didn't know was that I wasn't broke. I was silent. I was still. I was building. I let the rumors spread. I let the vultures circle. Even Jackson, the boy toy she'd been playing with behind my back, strutted into her father's boardroom like he owned it. Like the seat I once offered him out of loyalty now belonged to him. He sat in my chair. But bankruptcy? No. I sold. Off my name. I liquidated my personal assets. I cut everything loose except my strategy. And 2 months later, I bought controlling shares of her father's company through a silent acquisition. She laughed when she thought I was gone. I'll smile when I fire her boyfriend. Let's see if she still thinks I'm broke after I make her. Dad, report to me. Finn Blackwell didn't make noise when he walked into a room, but people noticed. Always had. He wasn't loud, wasn't flashy, but everything about him spoke with weight. The sharpness of his suit, the cool in his stare. The silence that made others trip over their own words to fill it. That's who I used to be. Before Zara, I met her at a corporate charity gala I had no intention of attending. She was stunning. Jet black hair in a low bun, a crimson backless, dress that caught every light, and a smile that knew how powerful it was. She walked past me like I was invisible, until I didn't look at her. That's when she stopped. I'm Zara, she said, offering a hand like it was a challenge. Finn. No last name? You'll know it by the end of the night, she smirked. That smirk later became a habit. When she won arguments, when she played coy, when she knew she'd gotten under my skin. At first, it was magnetic. She challenged everything, questioned my routines, my rules, my silence, and I liked it. She was loud where I was quiet, messy where I was precise, fire to my steel. Within 6 months, we were married. No prenup. I thought it was love. She thought it was strategy. Zara came from money. Her father owned Walker Holdings, one of the oldest family-led corporations on the East Coast. When I married her, they treated me like a social climber. But it didn't matter. I was building my own thing, a fintech company that was doubling every quarter. I didn't need their approval. I needed her belief. At least I thought I did. In public, we were the power couple everyone envied. Photographed, at galas, mentioned in financial columns, seen exiting yachts and town cars. But behind closed doors, the cracks started early. She wasn't used to sharing a spotlight, and she hated that my name started getting whispered louder than hers. It wasn't just jealousy. It was hunger. Zara wanted more. Status, visibility, attention. When the market turned and my liquidity tightened, she didn't ask how I was doing. She asked what this meant for her image. She stopped coming home some nights. She said she was at events, networking. She wasn't. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. Then I saw the texts, one after another. From someone named Jay. Jay was Jackson Carter, a junior executive I'd personally mentored and fast-tracked inside my firm. He used to ask me for advice. He used to show up early, take notes, call. Me, sir. Now he was calling my wife Babe and texting her after midnight. The day I confronted Zara, she didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She didn't explain. She laughed. You really think you're still someone, Finn? You're broke. You're finished. Who would want to stay married to a man whose company's about to tank? I stood there, numb. Not because of what she said, but because of how easily she said it. Like love was a product she'd returned. Like I'd served my purpose, and now I was just excess weight she needed to shed before summer. I gave you everything, I said, my voice low. You gave me a name, she replied. That's all you were ever good for. That night, she walked out in a designer coat I bought her, got into a car I leased, and drove to a man who once asked me how to shake hands in meetings. The next morning, the internet was full of whispers. Zara's friends posted stories, half pity, half pride. Sometimes you have to leave dead weight behind to grow. One even joked, "Can't believe she downgraded her wedding band to a business card." They all thought it was over for me. But here's what none of them knew. I had already sold the company. I cashed out before the collapse. I wasn't bankrupt, I was clean. No debt, no board, no strings. And I had one asset I never let go of, Zara's father's company, Walker Holdings. A sleeping dinosaur that no one paid attention to anymore because it was old money, too safe, too quiet. But I had seen the value in it. While Zara was posting cocktail selfies, I was buying controlling shares, quietly, anonymously, through 6 shell firms and a holding group in Switzerland. In 3 weeks, I would walk back into that boardroom, not as Zara's husband, not as Finn the bankrupt, as their boss, and the first name on the restructuring list, Jackson Carter. The elevator doors slid open on the 47th floor of Walker Holdings. I didn't step out right away. I watched through the gap in the chrome as Zara's laugh echoed down the marble hallway. She was walking beside Jackson. Her heels clicked. His hand hovered too close to her back, and she smiled up at him like he was worth something. He wasn't. They passed right by the elevator, not noticing me at all. Not the man she'd vowed to love. Not the man who gave Jackson his first real title. Just a pair of ghosts playing house in a building I now owned. I stepped out a second later, straightened my cuffs, and walked calmly to the conference room. My legal team was already seated. My name was already on the agenda. I didn't need a dramatic entrance. I just needed the door to close behind me. The executives all stood as I entered. Zara's father, Mr. Walker, hesitated the longest. He looked pale, like he already knew what was coming. Good. It meant the lawyers had delivered the memo. "Shall we begin?" I asked. Zara wasn't in the room. Jackson was, sitting near the middle, flipping through a printout of projections he wouldn't understand even if I gave him a week. I didn't speak until everyone was seated. Then calmly, I slid the restructure packet across the table. "We'll be initiating a complete executive review," I said. "Effective immediately, all external hires under the last 9 months are under internal audit. Any ties to nepotism or relationship-based placement will be disqualified." Jackson blinked. Someone shifted. Uncomfortably, one of the board members asked, This includes Director Carter?" "It especially includes him," I replied, eyes never leaving Jackson's. His smile slipped for the first time. 10 minutes later, as the room cleared out, Jackson came to me. He waited until everyone else had gone. Typical, still thinking a private word could save him. "Finn," he said, voice low, casual. "This is about Zara, isn't it?" "No," I replied. "This is about competence." "You're firing me because of her." I tilted my head. "I'm firing you because you walked into this building like you earned something you didn't." "I earned her," I smiled. "No, she was bored. You were convenient. That's not earning, it's timing." He stepped forward, angry now. "You don't get to punish me just because she didn't love you." I didn't flinch. "You don't get to walk into my company, sit in my chair, and call it yours. Pack your things, Jackson." He hesitated, because he didn't know yet. He didn't know Zara hadn't told him. "I own Walker Holdings now," I added, watching. The color drained from his face. "Not through her, not through marriage. On paper, on record, legally." You're bluffing." I walked past him and opened the door. "My assistant has your termination letter. And the front desk has instructions not to let you back in without clearance." Zara showed up that night. My apartment. Uninvited. She let herself in. She still had the key I never changed. I was on the balcony, shirt sleeves rolled, bourbon in hand, watching the skyline she used to brag about owning. She stood behind me, arms crossed. Her voice was calm, but her face was sharp. "You humiliated him." "You replaced me with him," I replied without turning around. I didn't think you'd go this far, didn't you? Her heels tapped once on the concrete. You bought the company to get back at me. No, I said, sipping. I bought the company because it was undervalued and mismanaged. Firing Jackson was just a bonus. Zara stepped forward. My father's going to be livid. Your father sold me those shares himself. He just didn't read the fine print. She stared at me. You planned all of this. Of course I did, I said, finally turning to face her. What did you think I was doing these past few months, crying over your Instagram captions? Her mouth opened, then closed. For a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Not anger, not pride, guilt. You still wearing the ring? I asked quietly. She looked down. The diamond was gone. Of course it was. I see, I said, setting my glass down. Finn. You told everyone I went bankrupt, Zara. You let them mock me. You let them call me weak. I thought you were done. I didn't know you were still building, still dangerous. She went silent. I never needed your loyalty, I finished. I just needed your silence. Zara took a shaky breath. And now? Now, I said, stepping past her. I'll take your crown too. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. I just sat in the living room, staring at the city lights, remembering the way Zara used to curl up in this same spot, pretending she cared about my day, asking questions she never waited long enough to hear answers to. The silence was louder now, the kind of quiet that fills your lungs and presses on your ribs. I tried to hate her completely, but I couldn't. That's what made it worse. Because even after the betrayal, the lies, the affair, the smear campaign, there was still something inside me that remembered what she looked like when she used to fall asleep on my chest, what she looked like when she used to say my name softly, what it felt like to believe her. And now, I couldn't tell if what I felt was grief or rage. I walked to the drawer beside my desk and pulled out the envelope I'd never opened, our wedding photos. Zara had asked for digital copies, said she didn't want clutter. I kept the originals. She didn't know that. She probably didn't care. The first photo was of her holding my face and laughing like the world didn't scare her. My hands were around her waist. I was smiling too, real, wide, open. That man in the photo looked naive now, foolish, weak. I put it down and poured another glass. It had only been a few days since I fired Jackson, since I saw her show up in my apartment trying to act like the victim. Since I looked her in the eyes and didn't recognize her anymore, and still, it haunted me. Why wasn't I free? I'd taken everything back, my dignity, my power, my leverage. I'd executed every play with precision. She should have been the one haunted. She should have been the one losing sleep, but I was the one up at 3 a.m. staring at photographs that didn't mean anything anymore. A buzz. My phone lit up. Cella. Her name had become a kind of soft interruption in my chaos. She wasn't like Zara. She didn't speak to be admired. She didn't wear love like armor. She just listened. She just stayed. Still awake? I hesitated, then typed back, barely. Her reply came quickly. Want to talk? Part of me did. But part of me knew that if I let Cella see all this broken, unfiltered wreckage, I might not be able to pretend I was okay anymore. And I wasn't sure I was ready for someone to see that I was still bleeding under the suit and silence. I ignored the message, set the phone down, went to the mirror. I stared at my own reflection for a long time. What was I really doing this for? Revenge? Justice? Pride? Or was I just trying to hurt Zara the way she hurt me? Because if I was being honest, brutally, painfully honest, then none of this had brought me peace. I had humiliated Jackson. I had seized control of Walker Holdings. I had turned Zara into the villain of her own father's empire. But the ache was still there. The pit in my stomach still turned when I heard her name. My fists still clenched when I saw her posts with fake captions and red lip smiles. And worst of all, I still dreamed of her sometimes. Not the version who mocked me, not the woman who betrayed me, but the one who used to look at me like I was the only thing that felt safe. I hated that part of me. I wanted it gone. But the heart doesn't always obey logic, especially not when it's been dragged through years of quiet, slow unraveling. A knock at the door. I didn't move. Another knock. Then silence. I waited 5 seconds before opening it. Cella stood there. No makeup, hoodie, eyes soft. I figured you wouldn't reply, she said, but I brought food. I looked down at the takeout bag in her hand. Midnight pasta, she added. The good kind. For a moment, I just stared at her, wondering why she was still here. Why she hadn't run like everyone else who saw me at my lowest. I'm a mess, I whispered. She smiled, stepping in. Yeah, but you're not alone. We didn't talk much that night. She sat beside me on the couch. We ate. We watched the city fade into fog, and for the first time in a long time, the silence didn't hurt. It healed. 3 days later, I got the call that rewired everything. Finn, my attorney said, voice tight. You need to come to the office, now. I'd heard that tone before. Once, when a rival firm tried to bleed us dry with a surprise injunction. I stood up immediately. What happened? Walker Holdings Board just received a petition. Zara's contesting your acquisition. My grip tightened around the phone. She's claiming the shares were acquired through deceptive practices and shell proxies. She's demanding a reversal and board hearing. I didn't speak for a moment. She's building a case, he continued, and she's not doing it alone. Jackson's name is on it too. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course it is. They've got a team, a damn good one. PR's already warming up headlines. I hung up. A war was coming. And this time, Zara wasn't sending whispers. She was showing up with lawyers, signatures, and fire. She was making it official. That night, I sat alone in the boardroom. The same room I had walked into weeks ago as the new owner. The walls still echoed with the silence that followed Jackson's termination. But now there was something different in the air. Uncertainty. Zara was attacking the foundation, not with gossip this time, with litigation. She was trying to erase me, legally. The betrayal wasn't just personal anymore. It was strategic. She hadn't taken my money, so now she wanted to take my victory. As if that wasn't enough, my assistant forwarded a press release Zara's camp issued to the media. Disgraced ex-husband, accused of fraudulent takeover. Zara. Walker fights to protect family legacy. It was everywhere by morning. My name, my face, the accusations. She was twisting the story again, painting me as the greedy villain who used her for control. That afternoon, I walked into a storm of flashing lights outside my office, cameras shoved toward my face, reporters shouting questions. I didn't answer. I kept my gaze forward, chin high, every step calculated. Inside, Cella was already waiting in my office, reading the headlines, her face pale. I saw it, she said softly. I nodded. She's trying to ruin you. She already did, I muttered. This is just the encore. I dropped the file of legal counters on my desk and sank into my chair. Cella stepped closer. Finn, are you sure it's about revenge now? Or are you still chasing something that's already dead? I looked up at her eyes, her honesty, her steadiness. I don't want her back, I said firmly, but I won't let her rewrite my story. Cella said nothing, but I could feel the shift in her, the worry, the fear of what this could cost me. Not money, not image, sanity, peace. Do what you have to, she said after a pause. Just don't lose yourself in the process. But the truth was, I already had. Long ago, back when Zara first chose image over intimacy, power over partnership, control over commitment. Now it was just me finishing the game she started. That night, Zara posted a video. She stood in front of a fireplace, perfectly styled, eyes glassy, but strong. "I've always tried to protect my family," she said. "And I won't let a manipulative ex-husband weaponize my father's company against me." Millions of views in hours. Sympathy poured in. And there it was again. Zara, the victim. Not the one who slept with Jackson. Not the one who laughed while I lost everything. She was winning the narrative. But the thing about lies is, they're only safe until someone lights a match under the truth. So I called my attorney. "It's time to unseal the video," I said. "The one from the apartment?" "Yes." "That could ruin her permanently, Finn." I looked out at the night sky, heart heavy but steady. She ruined me first. The video started playing in the courtroom like any other piece of evidence. Routine, procedural. But what it captured wasn't routine at all. The courtroom lights dimmed slightly as the screen lit up. There on the footage was Zara, standing. In my apartment, uninvited. Hair curled, eyes sharp, voice cold. "You humiliated him," she said, pacing slowly, her stilettos tapping against my floor like war drums. "You replaced me with him," my voice answered off-screen. Calm, controlled. "I didn't think you'd go this far. Didn't you?" Then, that moment, the exact one my lawyers had told me not to release unless I was ready to burn everything. She moved closer. "You bought the company to get back at me." "No, I bought it because I could," I said. "You just made it personal." And then came the line. The moment no PR spin could erase. Zara turned fully to face the camera, unaware. It was rolling, unaware of what her next words would cost her. "You think I care about your stupid little company?" She snapped. "I used you, Finn. The marriage, the name, the image. It was a stepping stone. You were always temporary. You just didn't realize it." Gasps filled the room. Even the judge leaned back. I kept my eyes forward, jaw tight, unmoved. I'd watched this clip 100 times. The first 10 broke me. The rest made me colder. The video ended. Silence. My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, this is just a small portion of the complete footage, clearly proving malicious intent and falsification of public narrative." Zara didn't look at me. Not once. She just sat there, hands clenched in her lap, lips pressed together like a child caught mid-lie. Jackson wasn't in court. Coward. When the session ended, the press exploded outside. Reporters circled her, asking how it felt to be publicly exposed. She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her carefully crafted empire was cracking. And I hadn't even touched the core yet. Later that evening, her father called me. "I never wanted it to end up like this," he said, his voice subdued. "She's still my daughter." "She was my wife," I replied, staring out at the skyline. That didn't stop her. A long pause. "I didn't know she'd go this far," he muttered. "But you sold the shares," I said. "And you didn't ask why." He sighed. "What happens now?" I looked down at the paperwork in front of me. It was everything. Contracts, statements, court transcripts, all bound tightly. All official. All real. She's banned from the board indefinitely. Jackson's permanently blacklisted in every company I own. I'll keep Walker Holdings clean now. That's the deal. He was quiet again. "You think you've won?" "No," I said. "I think I've survived." The next day, Zara showed up at my office. This time she knocked. I didn't answer. She knocked again. When I opened the door, she looked different. Smaller. No makeup. No armor. Just Zara, or what was left of her. "I want to talk," she said. I stepped aside, letting her in, even though every part of me wanted to shut the door. She walked to the window and stood there silently, looking out, just like I had. So many nights, then she turned. "I was scared," she said, her voice cracked. "That you'd leave. That you'd stop loving me." I raised an eyebrow. "So you cheated?" "I thought, if I hurt you first, it would feel like I was in control. I thought I was protecting myself. By destroying me?" She looked down. You were everything. I wasn't. Composed, strategic, unshakable. I hated it. I envied it. I wanted it. And when I realized I could never have that kind of stability, I tore it down. I walked toward her slowly, stopping a foot away. And now, her eyes welled up. Now I'm empty. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched her. I know you won't forgive me, she whispered. But I needed you to hear it. I'm sorry. She turned to leave, her hand on the doorknob. I loved you, I said quietly. She paused. I really did. Even when you laughed behind my back. Even when you fed Jackson my weaknesses. Even when you told your friends I was broke. I still wanted to believe in you. Tears streamed silently down her face. But now, I continued, I believe in consequences more. She opened the door, nodded once, and walked out of my life for good. I didn't watch her leave. I turned away and picked up the folder Cella left on my desk earlier. Inside was a picture, her and me, taken last week, smiling, real, unstaged. She believed in healing. I was still learning how to. But something in me shifted as I looked at that photo, because for the first time in a long time, the ache was quiet. Spring came early that year. The trees outside my penthouse bloomed weeks ahead of schedule, as if the city itself was impatient to start over. I stepped onto the balcony with a black coffee in hand, watching petals flutter to the pavement 30 floors below. For the first time in what felt like forever, the air didn't feel heavy. My phone buzzed once. Cella. Brunch in 30, or are you hiding again? I smirked and typed, coming. I'll bring the wine. I never thought I'd rebuild like this. Not after Zara. Not after the scandal, the court war, the betrayal. But somehow, I had. Slowly. Quietly. Intentionally. Walker Holdings was no longer just a revenge tool. I restructured the company from the ground up, cut dead weight, installed merit-based leadership, tripled quarterly earnings. The board was stronger, the culture cleaner, and my name carried weight again. But most importantly, I didn't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. The world had watched Zara burn herself alive in that courtroom. The footage of her admission, her cruelty, had gone viral. No legal statement could clean that up. She released a public apology 3 weeks later, a tear-filled video laced with excuses and self-pity. But it didn't change the outcome. Her father retired early, quietly handing me full operational control. Investors backed me. Media shifted sides. Zara, though, she disappeared until yesterday. My new executive assistant walked in holding a slim envelope, no return address. Inside was a single photo, Zara standing barefoot on a hilltop grave. The headstone had her mother's name on it. Written in ink beneath the photo was one sentence. I finally told her everything. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. Whatever conversation she had at that grave wasn't for me. It was between her and her ghosts. I'd made peace with mine. Later that afternoon, I met Cella on the rooftop cafe where we always sat on Sundays. She was already sipping tea when I arrived, sunglasses perched low on her nose, a novel in hand. You're late, she said with a smile. Some battles take longer to leave behind. I didn't ask what took you so long. I said you're late. She smirked. I poured us both a glass of wine. Fair. We sat in comfortable silence. No pressure, no pretending. She was the calm after the storm I never saw coming, and exactly what I needed. I'm thinking of selling Walker, I said after a while. She raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Maybe. It served its purpose. I didn't take it to build an empire. I took it back to reclaim myself. And now? Now I want to live, Cella. Not win. Just breathe. She nodded slowly. Then let's do it. Sell, travel, heal. I looked at her and smiled. Marry me first. She blinked, stunned. What? Marry me, I said again, calmly. Not because I need fixing, not because I'm broken, but because with you I finally feel whole. Her eyes welled up. You're serious? I nodded. She reached across the table and laced her fingers through mine. Only if the prenup is 6 pages max, I laughed. Deal. That night, I walked through my home with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. No more locked doors. No more hidden cameras. No more betrayal waiting behind texts or polished smiles. Just stillness. Just real. I paused at the hallway cabinet, opened the bottom drawer, and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside, the original wedding ring I gave Zara. I took it to the balcony, held it up once under the moonlight, then tossed it off the edge. It disappeared before I ever heard it hit the ground. Some things didn't deserve to be kept. The next morning, my lawyer finalized the deal with an international firm to acquire Walker Holdings under new management. I signed the release papers and forwarded a final memo to the board. Build something honest, or don't build it at all. And with that, I walked out of the chapter that nearly ruined me. No looking back, no last words, just the sound of a clean door closing. Bold ending. I wasn't the man Zara destroyed. I was the man who walked through the ashes and built something stronger from the wreckage she left behind.